Hello, welcome to Big Man in the Woods. It's Mark, brand new episode for 2015, episode number 12. Huh? You're confused? Where's episode 11, I hear you say? Well, I know that you haven't subscribed to the email listing then, because you would have had the link to the special bonus number 11. So if you do want to go and listen to episode 11, head over to the website, bigmaninthewoods.co.uk, and click on the win page. Your chance to win a brand new Snug Pack jungle hammock if you subscribe to the email listing. And when you do, you'll get the link to the special bonus episode 11. If you don't subscribe, then you can't hear that bonus. Simple as that. And if you don't subscribe, no chance of winning that hammock. But hey, that's another thing we'll talk about at the end of the podcast. So this brand new podcast for 2015, I was lucky enough to chat to a fantastic, and I will use the word, you'll hear me use it a lot, amazing and inspirational young lady, a lady called Mollie Hughes. Now, I'm just going to get straight into the interview because she'll tell you all about it. But if you've ever had that time that you're maybe either sitting at your office desk or even at the armchair at home and you think, you know what, I really wish I could go and do that. You know, you've had a goal in life, maybe something crazy like swimming the channel, or even just simple as learning to swim, and you just think, nah, I can't be bothered. Well, this interview, I will guarantee you by the end of the half an hour, 45 minutes of the interview, at the end of it, you'll go to your local swimming pool and sign up for swimming lessons, or go and do that goal that you've always wanted to do, because she's going to be amazing and blow your mind off. After the interview, I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna do all the things that I've wanted to do, and this is the year. Brand new year, 2015. I'm going to hammer it, and I'm going to do it. That's enough of me chatting. I'm going to head over to my interview now. Hope you enjoyed it.
Big man in the woods. Big man in the woods. Big man in the woods. And here's your host, Mark. Yes.
Okay, another episode for Big Man in the Woods, and today we've got a really, really cool guest on the podcast today. I think we're just going to crack straight into it. Normally I introduce our guests, but tonight I think we'll let Mollie introduce herself. So, Mollie, hello.
Hi there.
How you doing?
I'm very well, thank you.
So,
Very well.
Mollie, you've got like a really cool title to your name, haven't you?
A little bit, yeah. A little bit.
Some people have got OBEs or sirs, and nah. That's kind of rubbish. But your title that you've now got, tell the listeners. You can tell them yourself.
Okay, so I guess in 2012, I became one of the youngest British climbers to summit Mount Everest. So I climbed Everest when I was 21 in 2012, and spent 2 months living and climbing on the mountain.
That's just amazing. So, most people who are like 21 are kind of climbing over bars and trying to get shots and things like that, aren't they? And there's you climbing over Mount Everest. It's just...
Oh, I definitely do that as well.
But yours is better. I like your story. So Mollie, like when I was young, I kind of had a brief thing of climbing Mount Everest. Everyone's got that picture in the wall. But was that kind of your background then? Did you kind of...
No, it's never been a long-term ambition of mine to climb Everest. I didn't actually start climbing mountains until I was 17. So when I was 17, I was at school down in Devon, and we went on this school trip. It was a pretty cool school trip. It was this expedition to Kenya. And on this expedition, we kind of went on safari, did some charity work, and then had the opportunity at the end to climb Mount Kenya. So we spent about 4 or 5 days climbing up Mount Kenya. And standing on the top of Mount Kenya, I was just completely hooked. And I knew that climbing was something I was going to have to do probably for the rest of my life. So yeah, that's where I started when I was 17. But no, Everest had never been an ambition until I got to university, I guess. So it all kind of started in my final year at university, where I was studying sports psychology in Bristol. And in your final year, you've got to write your dissertation, which is that huge project, like 10,000 words. And I kind of thought, if I want to write this big project, it's going to have to be something really interesting, or I'm never going to be able to sit down and write 10,000 words and probably fail my degree. So I thought, what's the most interesting subject I can think of? I love mountaineering, so I thought of Mount Everest as being a huge psychological challenge. So for my dissertation, I interviewed 7 guys who'd all summited. We looked at kind of their motivation, their ability to control fear, psychological pressure they faced, all these kind of things. And in the end, I wrote this big dissertation, 10,000 words, and got completely hooked on Everest and realized that it was something I wanted to climb, and soon. So yeah, I finished uni, graduated in 2011, and went off to Everest in 2012.
As simple as that. 14th of May 2012 here in London was a bit of a cold day, bit of sunshine, but yours. So what I want you to do is take us back to 4 a.m. on the 14th of May 2012, and just briefly describe what was so special about that day.
Okay. So on this day, this was actually the day that we left Everest Base Camp for the last time, and we were heading up to the summit. So we left base camp at 4 a.m. It was freezing cold. So nervous, so anxious about what lay ahead. But we left base camp and headed up onto the mountain. Spent the next 3-4 days getting up to camp number 4 on Mount Everest, which is the final camp before the summit, and kind of the starting point of the summit day. And the summit day is like the longest and hardest day of the whole expedition. And it was definitely the longest and hardest day of my whole life. It just went on and on. So we left camp 4 at 8 p.m. on the 19th of May, on the 18th of May, at 8 p.m. And we start climbing kind of into the night, into the darkness. And you find at night, because conditions are a bit more stable at night, and you want to have lots of time during the day to make your way back down in daylight. So yeah, we left there at 8 p.m. and just climbed into the night for hours upon hours upon hours. The sun finally rose about 5 a.m. after these kind of 9 hours of climbing in the dark. And that was incredible when the sun rose on Mount Everest. The coolest thing actually was, so Mount Everest is obviously a huge triangular shaped mountain. As the sun rises up behind it, it throws out the shadow of Everest pretty much onto Nepal. It's this huge triangular shadow. It's incredible. And it goes kind of all over all the mountains in front of you, then up into the sky as well. Just this massive shadow. And you keep climbing. You get up over the Hillary Step, which is kind of sort of the technical crux of summit day, so the hardest part. So up over the Hillary Step, and then you've got the final summit ridge, which is not that long, but it took me a long time. I don't know, it took me an hour or so, an hour and a half to get along this final summit ridge. Every step hurt a lot. Every step, your body was kind of crying out for you to turn around. Then finally at 8 a.m. we made it to the summit. No there to climb up, so we just kind of had to stay there for a little bit and then head back down again.
So how long did you stay up at the top of the summit then?
Not long at all, actually. I was probably on the summit of Everest for maybe only 10 minutes. It was a really cold day, super windy, and the summit of any mountain is kind of the most exposed place, so it's not really somewhere to hang around too often for too long. So yeah, on the summit we just took some photos, tried to drink and eat what we could, but you're just in such a state of exhaustion that it's hard to do. And yeah, just kind of soaked it up for a few minutes.
And I do believe there's phone signal at the top of Mount Everest, isn't there?
There wasn't for me, unfortunately.
Oh.
I think a few have managed to. I know. I really wanted to call my mum from the top.
Because I can't remember who it was, but there was like the first ever tweet on Mount Everest. So the guy said he got 3G. So that would be quite cool.
Yeah, that would be cool. And I hoped for it, but I didn't get it when I got it.
Oh, maybe on your next one. You never know.
Yeah.
So we've got lots of questions about your training. And what we want to know is, like, how do you train for a climb at Mount Everest? Because the coldest place I've ever been to is the freezer section in Tesco. So I have no idea how to climb up Mount Everest. So did you train in the UK or did you go somewhere else?
Yeah, mainly in the UK. I was living down in Devon at the time. And I had some really good training from my university. The training coach there, really cool guy called Steve Locke. He set me up with a really good program. So my main training was just the kind of basic things, so like running as far as I could, running as fast as I could, swimming, and then getting really specific, so kind of hiking with big heavy packs on, going off and climbing mountains around the UK. Then I went off to the Alps for a little bit, did some climbing there, had a big expedition in the Himalayas maybe 4 months before I went back for Everest. Yeah, just kind of getting as specific as possible, using the same kind of muscles you would use as you're climbing Everest. But obviously it's so hard to train for the cold. unless you go somewhere that's super cold. So down in Devon wasn't an ideal place for that. It's also hard to train for the altitude. You can't really train for the altitude. You just have to kind of hope for the best. Get as much experience as you can at altitude, so you know how your body's going to react. But training for it isn't too easy.
I guess there is no way, as you say, there's no way to train for altitude, isn't it? You just got to go for it.
Yeah, it's got to get there and start adapting, really.
Yeah. Paul Kirtley wants to know, did you have a special diet when you were training?
A special diet? Not specifically, just trying to eat nice and healthily, of course. Trying not to drink too much, trying not to go to the pub too much. And also just kind of, after a big training session, just refueling well. So when you get back from a massive run or hike, make sure you're eating lots of carbohydrate and protein to repair and recover, and then be ready for the next day of training.
So how many days of training a week did you do then?
I think I probably tried, I guess I probably tried 5 days. I think rest was really important. That's definitely what I learned from my coach. Rest days are really important in training, which I quite like. I was quite up for that when he said that.
Yeah, neither.
So you're having to recover. Yeah.
So I saw, I can't remember the name now, the lady from Blue Peter who did rowing of the Amazon, canoeing of the Amazon and tightroping across Battersea. And when she was training to go off to the Arctic Pole, she was running with a big tractor tyre behind her, dragging it down the park, around Hyde Park. Is that something that you had to do?
No, I didn't do anything that cool. I think I do that for kind of polar stuff, because they're pulling sledges when they're walking across. I didn't pull up a sledge up Everest, just a big heavy rucksack. So yeah, I just went specific as possible and carried a big rucksack around and up and down some hills in Devon.
So now your handbag is now increased to a rucksack whenever you go out then?
Huge rucksack, absolutely.
So, talking about food, something that I really enjoyed, what did you eat up Mount Everest then?
Okay, so at base camp, it's pretty nice. It's pretty cushy. So at base camp, one of the Sherpas will cook for you. We had this really cool cook called Pasang Thema, who's a bit of a legend in the Sherpa world. And he would cook when we were down at base camp. I guess when you're at base camp, the aim is to kind of recover from the time on the mountain and to get yourself in as best shape as you can. So you want to eat as much as you can at base camp, drink as much as you can, kind of have as much fun as you can and relax and everything. So he would cook us some great meals. Definitely there was soup to start at base camp, and then some kind of meal. A curry was always good. Sometimes it was spam, which wasn't as great. Often the spam did come out. And then some kind of dessert, whatever they could kind of rustle up.
Ice cream.
Yeah, loads of ice cream. But then when you're on the mountain, you're cooking for yourself. Conditions are obviously quite large. So you've got your little stove and you're inside your tent with your stove and your porch. And you're just cooking for yourself, mainly the kind of packet foods that you just heat up or add boiling water to, kind of ration packs, which tastes okay for the first day or so, but after a few days on the mountain, they're not so great.
So you should have trained at home for that then. Had a few more ration packs instead of your mum's nice roast dinners.
It wouldn't be nice training.
So, how much does it cost to climb up Mount Everest then? Because I've seen a few, sponsorship wise, and you can pay a minimum amount as long as you raise such amount. Is there a minimum fee for Mount Everest and all the expenditures you have to put into it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really expensive mountain to climb. Probably the second most expensive mountain to climb in the world. It can cost anywhere from like 25 to 45, 50,000 pounds.
Wow.
Huge amount of money. And obviously I was a university student or just graduated from uni. I had no money. I had nothing but like £1,000 of student debt. I've been living off baked beans for the last 3 years. So I had to find all this money because I wanted to go and climb Everest the following year. So I went about looking for corporate sponsorships. So I wanted to get a company or a few different companies on board with my expedition to sponsor me, to give me the money. And then I would go off and advertise their company on the mountain, their logos and their banners to the top. And they could use me in whatever kind of marketing they wanted. So that was almost almost as hard as climbing the mountain itself, trying to get all this money together. Huge amount of money I did try and raise in 12 months. But I got it in the end. It all kind of came through right at the end.
And that was just by just asking companies then, so you didn't have to go and do your own fundraising as such?
Not so much. I did for a charity that I was raising money for alongside it. So I got the sponsorship from the companies finally, and then started raising money for this really cool charity, ActionAid. And they're an anti-poverty charity, and they work kind of in loads of different developing countries around the world. So I raised quite a bit of money for them during the expedition as well, which was good.
Excellent. So I did hear a little rumour about you.
Yeah.
It's always good to find out rumours about you. That you're actually scared of heights.
Yeah. I don't really like heights very much.
Mount Everest? It's not very tall, is it?
Yeah. No, true. No, I really don't like heights very much. Get a bit scared. Don't want to look down too much.
And you chose to climb up Mount Everest.
Yeah.
So-
But yeah, I guess I don't like being scared of things, and I don't like being scared of heights especially. So I guess I try and put myself in situations to try and get over this fear. So if it's rock climbing, ice climbing, or climbing big mountains, yeah, try and do it to try and help.
So you're sorted of that fear now, I guess. Have you conquered it?
No, not quite. Not quite.
Ow.
Definitely got better through everything, but no, still get a little bit edgy on a big rock climb or something.
That's just crazy. I'm scared of heights. I know what to do. I'll go and climb the world's tallest mountain and, yeah, be all right. So you briefly touched about it earlier on, about your favourite memories of when you reached the summit of Mount Everest with the shadows looking over Nepal and stuff. Was that your most memorable thing about climbing Mount Everest?
So I guess when I got back from Everest, the most memorable things were probably like the pain and the suffering, because that's what you remember at first. You remember how hard it was. Yep. And how much it took to get there. But now it's been like 2 years since I was on the mountain. I've kind of forgotten all that pain, so now I'm just left with the good memories. So yeah, that massive shadow of Everest was incredible. The sunsets and the sunrises were incredible. The stars at night on Everest are just the most amazing thing, because there's no light like anywhere apart from like close to you. So the stars are just incredible, and it feels like you're that much closer. Like maybe we're only 5,000 meters higher than here, but no, it feels like you're close.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's an incredible place.
So the most memorable thing you would say is the pain.
No, it was straight away afterwards, but now no, it's just I don't know, I guess the beauty of the place. Everything about that mountain was beautiful.
But there's a whole load of other people climbing with you, isn't there?
Yeah, lots of people.
How many people climbed with you?
So in my little team, when we went to the summit, there were 6 of us.
Okay.
Yeah, so they were all there, but no, it's an incredible place.
What's the litter like on Mount Everest?
Not as bad as you would think.
Okay.
So there is a lot of kind of like articles in the press and everything about this, because the Nepalese government recently brought in some new laws to make sure that climbers take all their rubbish off the mountain. And it's weird, like the press and the media have such a negative view of Everest, and whenever something comes up like that, they'll jump on a story and talk about it being covered in litter. But it's not. People that are climbing there, they're people that love the mountains, they respect the mountains. They're not just going to throw the litter everywhere, take it off the mountain with them. But no, I definitely didn't see any of that really. But
there are reports there's a lot of dead bodies up on Mount Everest that they're cutting down. Did you see any gruesome sights?
No, there aren't as many as you might think, and the ones that are there are buried under tons of snow and ice. So I didn't see any going up the south side, luckily.
Okay, is that something that would put you off, do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, if you can see clearly in front of you the dangers and the outcomes of what could happen if something goes wrong, then yeah, it would definitely shake you and kind of make you lose focus on getting to the top.
Yeah. Was there a time climbing up that you thought, you know what, I can't do this anymore?
Yeah, every day and every time you're struggling on the mountain, that little voice is there in the back of your mind, saying that, oh, you could just stop, you could just turn around. It's always
Yeah.
there, but you've just got to just overcome it and have the need and the want to keep going, and the need and want to get to the top. It's just got to be a bit stronger than that voice. So yeah, it was always there, but I did always knew I could get to the top, or always hoped that I could get to the top, if it was within my power. Yeah.
I know you were kind of destined to do it then, wasn't you? If you want to do it, you'll really do it, isn't it? There's always that kind of thing that they tell you at school. If you want something, you work for it, and you'll get it.
Definitely, yeah. No, anything's achievable if you want it enough and you put enough energy into it. Then definitely.
So what do you want then?
What do I want now?
Yeah, not right now, but if there's like a future goal in life, something else.
Okay. So my next little goal is to, actually it's not that little, it's quite big. My next goal is to go back to Everest. Either this spring or maybe next spring if I can get the funding, and climb it from the other side. So climb it from the north route from Tibet. And I'd love to spend the 2 months on that side of the mountain, because I kind of feel like Everest is such a big part of my life. It has been for the last few years, writing my dissertation on it, and then getting the sponsorship to go, and then the time I spent on the mountain. But I kind of feel like I've only experienced half the mountain. I've only experienced the south side, the Nepalese side of the mountain. There's this whole other route, this whole other side of the mountain that I would love to go back and have a crack at.
Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully by 2016, hopefully.
I'm being honest with you here, Molly. I didn't really hear much of the answer because I'm still in shock of you saying there's this little goal of climbing up mountain. A little goal, you know? Most people would say that's like a huge goal, or even more than a huge goal, you know? And there's you saying, oh, just a small little goal of climbing up Mount Everest. Just, you know, something you do on a Sunday stroll. Most of us walk around the park or something like that, and yeah. And there's you saying it's a small goal. So if that's a small goal, then what's the huge goal then?
Oh no, I don't know. It's definitely just a short-term goal, and then after that, just I don't know. Maybe think about getting a real career, or just keep climbing mountains, keep doing fun stuff.
That sounds better than a 9-to-5 job then.
Yeah, absolutely.
What would you do if you had to get a real job then?
Tough one. I don't know. It'd have to be something fun, wouldn't it? I couldn't be like an accountant or anything.
Who says that's not fun? I might have some accountant listeners here. We can't say it's a boring job, you know, just in case.
I'm sure they would say. I don't know. I'd probably I've done a bit of work in the charity sector before, so I'd probably go back to doing a bit of that.
Okay.
Something that wouldn't, I don't know, with a career, I'd want to benefit as many people as I could, not just benefit myself. Yeah. So yeah, something like that. It helps people.
So some sort of charity work, as you said.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's cool. Just going back to Mount Everest, you're going to do it. My question was if you managed to climb the summit, but I have to rephrase this now by saying when you climb the summit, you'll be the youngest Brit again to climb it, and aside from both sides, also the youngest as a non-Sherpa at the age of, depending what year, 25. That's just amazing.
Yeah, no, it's quite cool. And also the other big one is that no British woman has actually climbed it from both sides yet. So there's maybe 27, 28 British women that have climbed it, but they've only climbed it from one side. So no British women's done it from both sides. That'd be quite good if I did manage to get there.
That is just, that's funny just to go, you know what, I'm just going to climb it again, As if the first time wasn't hard enough,
I know.
It'd be easy.
I've forgotten that now. I'm going to get back there and just...
So has Bear Grylls climbed it from both sides then? Or has he just done it from the one?
No, he's just climbed it from the south side, like me.
And then paraglide it?
Yeah.
And you're going to do it from both sides. What about your friend, Saranoff Fiennes? Has he done it from both sides?
No, he's just done it from the south side.
Oh, this gets better and better. So do you know anyone that's done it from both sides?
Yeah, one chap I know that has.
And how old is he?
I'm not sure. This guy called Tim Mosdale. I wouldn't like to guess his age.
Go on.
Older than me.
Yeah, but that could be 30, 40.
I don't know, maybe he's 40-ish.
40-ish. Is there like a maximum age that you can climb Mount Everest? Like, you would kind of go, if you're 50s, it's too much like hard work, you.
No, actually not. One of my tent buddies when I was on the mountain was this really cool guy called Roger. And how old was he? He was maybe 50 something when we climbed together. So no, it was really cool to climb with him.
And has any of the other team done it before? Or was this like a first for them as well?
Yeah, no, it was a first for all of them, actually, yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, no, it was cool.
Dave Willis wants to know, what are you doing to prepare for the death zone?
Okay, for next time.
Yeah.
So there's not really much you can do to prepare for the death zone. When I was up there in 2012, so just for your listeners that don't know, the death zone is the area above 8,000 meters on the mountain. Everest is 8,848 meters high, so you've got almost 1,000 meters on Everest of being in the death zone. And the death zone is kind of the area. It's kind of a pretty horrible name, isn't it? But it's kind of a name used by climbers, doctors, and people to talk about this area where there's such little oxygen that human life or any life can't be sustained for very long. So there's something like a third less oxygen than there is down here at sea level. So it's kind of the place you don't want to hang around in too much. It's kind of the place you want to get in and out of as much as you can. So in 2012, I'd never been that high before. I'd never been into the death zone before. I didn't really know how my body was going to react or anything. So there's not that much you can do to prepare for it, really. I guess if I manage to get back on Everest, I'll know a little bit more about how I'm going to feel there, what my body's going to be like there. Pretty rubbish, really. But I know what it's going to be like. So yeah, I'm definitely better prepared than I was in 2012.
I'm just thinking like Facebook statuses and everything, checked in at the death zone. What? Right.
Yeah, not a nice name, is it?
Say again?
Not a nice name, is it?
No, not really. What would you call it then?
I don't know. Something nicer.
Not the death zone. Using a quote on your website. This is just amazing. Like, not many people can say this. From Serena Fines, he describes you as a unique lady with genuine passion for adventure and achievement. That's just a cool quote, amazing quote. How does it feel for you?
To have that quote. Yeah. No, it's nice. It's really nice of him to write that. Yeah, it's pretty cool because Randolph Fiennes is a legend, isn't he?
Of course,
such a hero. Yeah. He's so cool. So yeah, it's humbling, definitely.
And what do your friends think of that?
Yeah, I guess they think it's pretty cool.
It's all right.
Yeah.
But the main person I want to know about is your mum. What does she really think about you climbing the world's tallest mountain?
Yeah. Okay, so when I decided I wanted to climb it,
I can't wait for this answer.
Didn't tell her for quite a while. I was pretty sure I wanted to climb it in my own head. I told my dad, I told my friends, but I just couldn't tell my mum for ages. And then when I did finally tell her, it went better than I thought it would. She never said she didn't want me to climb it. She never said not to go ahead with it. But I could tell deep down she was like super worried. I don't think she slept for like the 2 months we were on the mountain. So I feel pretty bad about putting her through that.
So most mums have to stay up on, the Friday night or Saturday night waiting for you to come in at 3 a.m. in the morning, but your mum had to stay awake for 2 months.
Yeah, waiting.
So how did you tell her then? Did you kind of sit her down, soften her up, take her for a meal or something,
We went for a bit of a stroll. I think we went to walk the dog. And I just kind of talking about what I wanted to do after uni. And I was like, yeah, so I'm thinking about going climbing Everest. Yeah. The worst thing was when obviously now I've decided to go back again. I had to break the news to her again.
And this time she said?
This time she said, no.
This time I thought she was, oh, yeah, I'll come with you, Molly. I'll come for a little stroll up Mount Everest. So Mount Everest, where can you go from there? You've kind of aimed the biggest thing that you can do, can't you? You haven't aimed small and
Um,
then work your way up.
yeah. No, Everest is such a cool mountain, and it's such an honor to have climbed it once already. Um, but I love mountaineering, and I love being in the mountains and being in the outdoors. And there are thousands more mountains around the world to
Yeah.
climb. Mountains that are harder, more technical, more beautiful, take different approaches to climbing them. So no, it's definitely just the beginning.
So me walking up the Eiffel Towers, I'm thinking, oh, that was a tough one. That has nothing on you. Nothing can beat that. That's cool. So, if you're not climbing up mountains or rock climbing or whatever, what else can we find you doing then in your spare time?
Um, so when I'm not, well, they're kind of like the main
Yeah.
things I do enjoy. I also just love surfing, being at the beach, being in warm places is quite good for a change. So sometimes my ideal holiday would be just like a beach holiday, surfing somewhere really hot. That's after I've been on an expedition for a while.
That's cool.
Um, yeah, and I recently moved up to Scotland from London, so it's really nice to be up here and be a little bit more immersed in the outdoors and closer to the
You just said you
mountains.
like it in the warmth, and you've moved up to
Yeah,
Scotland. What?
okay, right. Contradictory.
So why have you moved up to Edinburgh?
It's just great to be closer to the
And
mountains.
that's the reason, is it just kind of helps you training
Yeah,
wise and things like that.
yeah, absolutely. And it's a great city.
Always help.
A bit less crazy than London, you know.
So is that going to interfere with your talks that you do? Because I was looking at your website. You do speech motivation.
Sure. So I travel around different schools mainly, but also businesses, sharing my story of climbing Mount Everest, and motivating kids at school for their exams and everything that's coming up for them, and into businesses and trying to motivate people in offices. So yeah, I do that up in Scotland. I do it all over the UK, really. So I just kind of travel around to different places and talk to people about my experiences.
My wife was recently at one of your talks a couple of months ago, and she just said you were inspirational, was her words.
Oh, that's
So I guess that's one of your things. So how can you inspire me now? If you had 2 minutes to inspire me.
wow, that's a question. I
You're on the
would probably
spot.
have
That wasn't on the
yeah.
question sheet, was it?
Some brief. How can I inspire you? I'll probably have to like send you some photos of really cool mountains and show you where I've been climbing and
Yeah.
everything.
And if the mountains don't really inspire me, that's not my kind of thing.
um, yeah, well, I'm all about mountains. So.
Ah. So has there been some? Obviously, there must have been some times where you've gone to some schools and there's some kids at the back. What is she talking about? And at the end of it, they just think, "Wow, she's amazing." Has there been some times like that? Do you know of any of those occasions?
Yeah, in a way, no, it's really cool actually. I guess when before Everest, I never thought I would be the kind of person that stands up and talks to people. Like at school and stuff, I was probably a little bit
Mm.
shy. But I would never imagine being a motivational speaker to kids, never. But now when I go into these schools and I'll spend like an hour or so chatting to a group of kids, showing them my videos and my photos, telling the stories of Everest. Yeah, it's really cool to get their response. And then afterwards, they'll send me tweets and send me emails about how much they enjoyed it. It's really, really sweet when they come through. Um, so no, it's great. It's a great job, a really good job. Be able to go and influence
Yeah.
these kids.
So basically, anyone can climb Mount Everest.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that's what I try and tell them. And not even just climb Mount Everest, but anyone can achieve anything they really want to. All you've got to do is just put enough focus into it, enough time, and really actually want to achieve that goal. Then no, anything's possible.
That's
Absolutely.
nice. You have to come and do an inspirational talk at my work.
Yeah. Okay.
So, Molly, just wrapping this up, we always ask this question: if you could sit on a bench and chat for 1 hour with anyone from the past or present, who would it be?
Okay. So I was thinking about this earlier. Um, Obviously, there are so many cool people that it would be great to sit on a bench with for an hour. Um, but I thought, keeping with the Everest theme, how cool would it be to sit on a bench with George Mallory? to chat with George Mallory to find out what happened on his expedition, to find out if he ever made it to the summit of Everest, or if he didn't make it, or if he got lost on the way up or the way down, because nobody really knows if he did make it. People have their guesses on that. Maybe he got stuck on the way up and died on the way up, or maybe he just summited and died on the way down. So I think it'd be really cool to sit down and chat with him, find out what it'd be like to climb Everest in 20s like he was, find out about his kind of passion for the mountain that he had.
Yeah. And non-mountain climbing, who do you think?
Non-mountain climbing. Yeah, it probably had to be someone, I don't know, someone from my life, someone from my past. Maybe my grandmother.
Ooh.
She died when I was 15. So she died before I'd ever climbed a mountain, before I'd got into any of this. So it'd be really good to, tell her what I've been up to.
What do you think she would say to you now? Mollie, you're crazy.
Crazy. Yeah. I think she'd be really proud. Yeah.
That's cool. Mine was my granddad. Because more or less the same thing. He died when I was 13, so it'd be quite nice to just chat with him,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell them what you've been up to.
Excellent. Well, Mollie, we wish you the best of luck for the next mountain climb.
Yeah.
How can people get hold of you?
So I've got a website. It's molliehughes.co.uk. I've got a Twitter account on there. So yeah, via Twitter. Drop me any more questions if anyone has them.
And YouTube. I was watching some of your YouTube videos.
Yeah, I've got a few on YouTube. I've just got back from actually a really cool expedition in the Himalayas with loads of GoPro footage that I took. So I'm in the process of editing that and getting that on YouTube.
GoPro. Are you going to take out Mount Everest next time you go?
Yeah.
How does the batteries work? Because does the temperature interfere with them?
Yeah, they're a bit rubbish when you get to really cold places. So on this last mountain, it was maybe -10 or so, and they lasted for a couple of hours. So if you just pick the right point, pick when it's going to be the most dramatic scenery to film.
That's amazing. Well, Mollie, once again, thank you very much, and I wish you the best of luck in your climb. And
Great, thank you very much.
Yeah, we'll head over to your. Well, when do you think your videos will be up on the YouTube channel? No pressure at all.
No pressure to get on it. Okay, well, if I start editing them properly tomorrow,
you're not going to, really, are you?
We'll see.
That's a no.
Soon.
Excellent, cool. Well, Mollie, thanks once again, and it's been a pleasure to talk to you, and all the best.
Big Man in the Woods with Mark Yates.
Big Man in the Woods.
Wow. Told you. What an inspirational lady. Mollie Hughes. Amazing. Seriously, all those goals I'm going to go and do for 2015. Tree ID, and I'm going to learn about that. I'm going to study more about the birds. My daughter's really into birds at the moment. They come a lot into our garden, so we've signed up to the RSPB Birdwatch at the end of January. I think it's something like the 28th, 29th of January, something like that, where you spend an hour in the garden and count kind of all the birds. So that we'll be talking about that in episode 13, the next one. It's just simple things like that for me. I have no, at the moment, major goals in life. There's no way I'm climbing Mount Everest, but mine are just small little goals. I know Mollie said her next small goal is to climb the other side of Mount Everest. You're not going to catch me, but my small goals, as I said, I'm going to do more tree IDing. I really want to walk around my local park and go, that's an oak tree, that's a sweet chestnut tree, that's a pine tree, that's an oak tree, all that kind of stuff. I'm going to really want to crack the tree IDing. So that's my goal for this year. So I hope Mollie has inspired you. Head over to the website, bigmaninthewoods.co.uk, sign up to email listing, and if you're on Facebook, Facebook me, Big Man in the Woods, and tell me your inspirational goals. What has Mollie inspired you? So I hope you enjoyed that, and I will see you next time here on Big Man in the Woods.